wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I...
Do you have questions about starting a trucking business? Box truck or CDL, I've done both. I can help you start your trucking business or grow your business so that you can buy more trucks. Use the link in the description to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me. Now let's get to the video. Hey, this is Zach Pasquarello. Good, how are you? Is now still a good time to talk? So what do you have going on? Are you thinking about starting a trucking business? That's pretty cool that you already work at Penske. I think you can make money renting a truck if you are going to be the driver. But if you're going to try to rent a truck and hire a driver, it's going to be really tough to make money. I mean, I'm seeing like $1,000 a week to rent a box truck. So when you say a better rate, like what can you get? Yeah, I mean, even at $800 a week, that's $3,000 a month. I mean, most people are only spending $1,000 or $1,500 a month on a truck if you buy it. So to spend 3 or 4 times the amount that you would if you just buy a truck on like a loan payment, I just don't even really, like, I guess it all depends on your reasoning. Like, why would you even do that? Like, why would you even rent a truck in the beginning? Like, maybe for an easy exit strategy if it fails, or maybe you don't have $10,000 saved up for a down payment. Yeah, I mean, pretty much everything is easy about the trucking business except for hiring and managing drivers. Like, that's the hardest part. But if you can find a good driver, then you're going to be set. I use a dispatcher. Yeah, he's an independent contractor. He has his own dispatching business, so he dispatches other trucks and mine at the same time. Yeah, that's a broker. No, so a broker and a dispatcher are two completely different people. They work together, but they're two completely different people. So a broker typically works with like warehouses and shippers. And like brokers move their freight. So us as carriers, yeah, like we work with brokers all the time, but a dispatcher is basically a middleman that a carrier hires. So a dispatcher works between a carrier and a broker. So that's all. A dispatcher is completely unnecessary. It's an extra step. It's an extra middleman, but it's necessary if you don't want to dispatch your truck yourself. So if you don't want to search the load boards, if you don't want to talk to brokers, or if you don't have time to do that, then you have to outsource it. You have to hire a dispatcher to do that for you. But theoretically, you can absolutely work without dispatchers. Like, they are not 100% necessary. Yeah, they're expensive, but because you're going to pay them 10%. If you're running box trucks, you're going to pay your dispatcher 10%. So if you make $5,000 a week, you're going to pay your dispatcher $500 a week. So I always tell people, like, if you're going to drive the truck yourself, definitely dispatch your truck yourself. But if you're trying to create a business where you're not involved in the day-to-day operations, then, unless you want to spend 2 to 4 hours a day dispatching your truck, I would recommend hiring a dispatcher. Yeah, I think you can make money buying a truck, hiring a driver, and using a dispatcher. You're not going to get rich, but I think you'll be able to build a business for sure and make a little bit of money. But if you're looking for like a new full-time job, or if you're looking for something to pay your bills, it's not going to be like that. At least not for the beginning. Yeah, you might be able to work directly with those brokers, except with a 26-foot box truck, it's not as easy. Like, you're going to need multiple brokers. You're going to need multiple people and multiple companies to work with, because there's just not as many box truck loads. If you had a CDL tractor, then I would say, yeah, absolutely. All you really need are, 2 to 4 brokers, and you're going to be all right. But with a 26-foot box truck, you're going to have to get creative to dispatch that. I don't know anything about the market in New York City. I only really know about like Lowe's and Home Depot deliveries, like local deliveries with that, and like over the road traditional like long haul stuff. But I'm sure you could find, furniture delivery or office supplies deliveries with a 16-foot box truck. It might be tough. It might be more challenging. If I were you, I would just start with a 26-foot box truck, because you're just going to have 10 times more opportunities and more loads available with a 26-foot box truck. Are you thinking about a 16-foot box truck because it's significantly cheaper, or why would you consider a 16-foot? Yeah, New York City might be like the only place where you could get away with having a 16-foot box truck. But once again, like, I don't really know a whole lot about the loads specific to that city. Well, I mean, in 2021, probably $300 to $500 a week average net income with the 26-foot box truck. But now that fuel prices are where they are and the freight market is declining, maybe $100 to $200 a week just because of diesel prices. But that's with me not doing anything. So I mean, if you think about it, like, you're making $200 a week not doing anything other than just kind of like creating a business and managing it. And that's just one truck. So the idea is create this business. You get a truck, you make a couple $100 a week, and then in 6 months you get another truck. In 12 months you get 4 trucks. You just build it from there. And all of a sudden, a couple $100 a week times 10 is a decent extra salary. Yeah, I've got one tractor trailer. Yeah, tractor trailer is way better than a box truck. The only reason I would ever recommend anyone get a box truck instead of a tractor trailer is if they don't have their CDL and they plan on driving the truck. But like anybody who's trying to do what I did and just like start a trucking business without driving, if I can go back in time, I would have just gone straight to the tractor trailer. If I could tell anybody, I would say, hey, skip the 26-foot box truck, just get a tractor trailer. Yeah, so hiring a driver was like my biggest concern with starting a trucking business. And that's actually why I started the 26-foot box truck, because I figured like, oh, I'll be able to find a driver like that much easier. But back in February, I just got the idea of reaching out to a staffing agency. I had never really thought about that before, but there are tons of like CDL special staffing agencies, and that's all they do is they place CDL drivers. So I actually found one right in central Pennsylvania, like in my hometown, and they found me 2 drivers this year already, very quickly. Like within like 5 to 10 days of me saying like, hey, I'm ready for a driver, they're like, all right, boom. We'll get you one in 5 days, and they did. Like, it's incredible. And they got me, and it's not like they got me guys right out of school either. They got me guys with like 20 years experience, like guys who know what they're doing. Yeah, the first one quit after 2 months. So they're really good at what they do, but they're also really expensive. It costs $12,000 for every driver. No, they pretty much charge me $500 every week for the first 24 weeks. So like I didn't pay $12,000 for the first driver. I only paid $4,000 because he was only with me for 8 weeks. So I paid $500 for 8 weeks. But then after that $12,000, after the first 6 months, then the driver is completely yours. So you don't have to pay the premium anymore. Like you can take him on as a full-time employee. After this call, I'll just send you an email with their information. And also the thing is, like, you can get a tractor for like the same price, if not sometimes cheaper than you can for a box truck. Like I got my truck in February for $65,000. It all depends on what you want to run, whether you get a sleeper or a day cab. Like if you want to do local runs, then you can get a day cab, and it's like a completely different business running local runs with a day cab versus sleeper cab long haul over the road. Completely different business. But like I guarantee you, I mean, you can make good money either way. Like for the local stuff, you're going to pay your driver hourly. So, you know, he'll probably work for 8 or 10 hours a day. You'll pay him $25 an hour. In New York City, probably 30 or $35 an hour. And he'll just do quick little shuttle runs back and forth, you know, 25 miles, 50 miles. But I guarantee you there's stuff going from New York to New Jersey to New York, Connecticut. Like you're going to find, you'll never run out of loads, you know, in New York City, obviously. You can get the day cab for like probably $40,000, or you can get a sleeper cab for probably closer to $80,000, and you'll probably stay away from New York City if you get a sleeper cab. You'll just go out to Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, just the Midwest, you know, the East Coast, and you'll just run 500 miles a day all over the country. Well, 30, that's a very large range, so I would do a lot of research first of all. And just go to Indeed and probably look up your zip code and see other big companies and see what they're hiring drivers at. Or if you use the staffing agency, they'll also be able to, they'll kind of tell, because they're an HR department, like they do staffing, like they know the industry standard and the regional standards for pay. So you can just ask them like, hey, for New York City, for a local guy, how much are they paying? Because they were able to, like, they work with Penske, they work with other big companies, so they were able to tell me like, hey, you know, this company is paying $26.25 a mile. This company is paying, or not a mile, $26.25 per hour, or this company is paying 56 cents per mile. So like they have all that data for you, which is super helpful. Well, I mean, you need a lot of things, but just like generic business stuff, like you need a business checking account, you need business credit cards, you need an EIN number, fuel cards, Easy Pass, you already said it, DOT and MC number. But other than that, like it's really only a list of like 10 or 15 things. Like it's really not a whole lot of things that you need to do to get started. I mean, if you want, I can like walk you through like those 10 or 15 things right now, like very detailed. Is that what you're looking for, or do you have specific questions? Yeah, so like I said, and I'm going to kind of give it to you in chronological order, like things that you should do first, and then kind of progressively as you go from there. So you're going to have to start with the LLC, and that's super easy. Just get an LLC, and then get your EIN, get a business checking account, business credit card, get an Easy Pass. So those are kind of like things that you can do right now, and you can just sit. Like if you were going to start a trucking company in 6 months, I would tell you, yeah, just do those things right now. It's like those things are not super time sensitive. Like just do those first and then you can kind of hang out. And then apart from that, more specific things, start looking for a truck, because it's going to take you like 30 to 60 days from the time you start looking for a truck to the time you actually like get a truck. So start looking for a truck, start figuring out how much it's going to cost, and then start looking for financing options. Like that's going to be kind of your biggest barrier to entry, just like getting the truck, obviously. Be prepared to spend, this sucks, but be prepared to spend 50% as a down payment on the truck, because you don't have your CDL, I'm assuming, right? Yeah, so that's the second biggest barrier to entry, CDL versus box truck. So first of all, if you don't have your CDL and you're going to drive, you obviously have to have a box truck. But second of all, if you're going to hire a driver, it requires a significant amount of cash to get started, because for whatever reason, it's almost impossible to get a traditional loan for a CDL truck if you don't have your CDL, because it's a super risky investment from a loan officer perspective, because you as the business owner and the owner of the asset, like you cannot operate the vehicle. So like if your driver quits, your business fails and you default on the loan and everyone loses. So it's a super risky investment from a loan officer perspective. So with that being said, I reached out to dozens of different financing options and financing companies and banks. Everybody told me the same thing: 50% down payment and 20% interest. With that information, I said, screw that, I'm not doing that. And I leveraged my personal assets and took out a line of credit against my personal assets and used that to buy the truck. So if you have, a large portfolio of stocks, or if you have equity in your house, or if you just have a bunch of cash laying around, you can leverage that. Obviously super risky leveraging your house or your brokerage account, but there are options out there to get around just like actually using cash in your checking account. So maybe look into a line of credit. The other thing you can do trying to finance your truck is you can piecemeal smaller loans together. So you can get a $20,000 cash loan at 8%. You can get a $20,000 line of credit at 8%. You can do that 2 or 3 times. You can kind of piecemeal together smaller loans, but it's possible. It's not impossible. And also it helps if your credit score is above 700. Okay, so look for a truck. Look for financing options. And then this is getting like more specifically, but start looking into factoring companies and fuel cards. You're going to want to combine the factoring company and the fuel card, because your factoring company is going to give you a discount if you use their fuel card. It's an easy way to do it, and it's a pretty good deal. I always use RTS. That's who I always recommend, and I have a point of contact. I'll send you her information after this call if you want to get connected with RTS. They're a good factoring company. Are you familiar with factoring companies? Okay, so basically in the trucking industry, brokers pay in 30 to 60 days. So obviously, it's tough for new businesses to survive on net 30 terms, especially because in the trucking industry, like our revenue is so high, but also our expenses are so high. So like you're going to be making $5,000 to $10,000 a week, but you're not going to see that money for 30 to 60 days. And you're going to be spending $4,000 to $8,000 a week in fuel and insurance and repairs and paying your driver. So unless you have, $20,000 to $40,000 cash laying around after you start your business to front your cash flow and your accounts receivable, you're going to need a factoring company. So the factoring company owns your accounts receivable. They pay you in advance for your invoices from the broker, and then the broker pays them. So that's kind of like a crash course onto what a factoring company is and what they do. And chances are you're going to need them, like I said, unless you have $50,000 cash laying around. So start looking into a factoring company and a fuel card, and start looking for a driver. So I already said I'll give you my staffing agency. If you want to go through them, great. But if not, you're going to have to start putting out advertisements on Indeed or on Facebook, or just reaching out to your local network, however you're going to find a driver. But start looking for a driver sooner rather than later. And then obviously your DOT number, your MC number, BOC3 and UCR. Are you familiar with those two things? No. UCR and BOC3 take maybe 2 to 3 minutes each, and you go straight to the website. Like I think it's literally UCR.gov, and then there's like a different BOC3 website. UCR is just $65 and BOC3 is like $25. But you can do it's way easier than like any tax form. Like it's way easier than any registration form. Like you literally just type in your MC number and your DOT number and how many trucks you have. It's crazy simple. So UCR, BOC3, obviously DOT number and MC number, like all 4 of those things kind of happen at the same time. You're going to need an ELD. So I compare the ELD to kind of like the Easy Pass, because it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks for each of those things to come in the mail. So you're going to need your Easy Pass to go through the tolls. You're going to need your electronic logging device. But you kind of have to wait until you have your specific truck picked out, because they're going to ask for the VIN number of your truck. That way they give you the correct cable. Like, depending on the truck you get, you're going to need a special cable. So kind of like as soon as you pick out your truck, then go ahead and order your ELD. And the company I always recommend is Keep Truckin', formerly known as Keep Truckin'. Now they're called Go Motive. It's what all of the other owner-operators I've seen use. And then I would also recommend, I can give you my insurance agent information after this, but I would recommend get a quote from an insurance agent. You can generally find out how much you're going to pay. You can, you work, you say Penske or Ryder? Penske? Yeah, so you work at Penske, so you can probably get a VIN number very easily of a similar truck that you're going to use. And if you work with an insurance agent, just give him your driver's license, give him the VIN number of a truck similar to what you're going to buy, and he can give you a quote for insurance. And it's probably going to be between like $1,500 and $2,500 a month for a tractor. But that'll just help you plan, kind of help you plan your budget and to see how much money you need. Do you have any questions so far? I know I'm going over a lot. So that's generally all of the things you need, like leading up to starting your trucking company. Like, those are kind of all the things you need. And then specifically to a CDL truck, you're going to need 4 other things. You're going to need to enroll your driver in random drug testing. And if you use a staffing agency, they'll do it for you. If not, I would recommend maybe get with like a DOT compliance company like Foley. I don't know if you've heard of Foley, but there's probably a bunch of other DOT compliance companies, but just get with them and they can probably help you out with it. Or you can try to do your research and figure it out yourself. I'm sure you could. But from what I've heard, Foley only charges like a couple $100 a year to manage your DOT compliance and your drug testing. So not a bad deal if you're getting a CDL driver. And then you need to register with the IRS and file your heavy vehicle use tax. It's $550 a year, and you can do it straight on the IRS website. It's the 2290 HVUT. That's specific to CDL trucks. And then the third thing you need is you need an apportioned plate, and you're gonna handle all of that through the dealership whenever you buy the truck. I guess you work at Penske, so you're probably familiar with the apportioned plates. Well, wherever you buy your truck from, the dealership, they will help you get your apportioned plate set up. But the registration for that, at least in Pennsylvania, the annual registration is like $2,000. Just be prepared to spend $2,000 every year per truck for your registration, your apportioned plate. And then the fourth thing that's specific to CDL trucks is your IFTA, International Fuel Tax Agreement, your IFTA filing. It was really intimidating for me. It was like one of the reasons why I didn't want to get involved with a CDL truck in the beginning, but it's so incredibly simple. All you need to know is how many miles you drove in which state and how many gallons you pumped in each state. And you'll be able to get both of those things straight from your fuel card and your electronic logging device. Super simple. You just log on to your Department of Revenue's website and you can file all of your IFTA information. You can probably do like a quick 30-second Google search and figure out all the information you need. Like, it's so incredibly simple. So in terms of like a to-do list and paperwork and registration, like that's pretty much all you need to get started. I mean, obviously I can go on for hours, like more specifically talking about things, but that's generally everything you need. And then I have a short list of like supplies and equipment that you'll need. And let me pull that up real quick. Yeah, my plan is to continue getting more and more trucks. I'm just kind of waiting right now because diesel is just crazy expensive and the freight market is slowing down a lot. So I'm not super profitable right now, especially with how much I'm overpaying my staffing agency. I'm like, some weeks I'll make $1,000, some weeks I'll lose $500. Like, I'm kind of breaking even right now, more or less, maybe positive a couple $1,000s over the past 3 or 4 months. So I'm just I just want to be careful. I don't want to jump the gun and get two or four more trucks and then be in a bad situation. So like, I do plan on getting more trucks, but I'm just going to wait a little bit longer just to make sure that, you know, the freight market and the economy and diesel prices kind of level back, go back to normal. Since February. No, not long at all. I've been doing the box truck for almost exactly a year now. I started in June of last year, and I've been doing the tractor trailer since February. Okay, so a couple other things you need. So the truck's gonna come with a mattress. The truck's gonna come with a fridge. You need a first aid kit per DOT compliance. You need a first aid kit. The truck's gonna come with a fire extinguisher, but you need to have a fire extinguisher. Triangles, once again, the truck should come with triangles, but you need triangles. A tablet. So I got like an iPad $40 a month straight from the Verizon store with cellular data. And with the tablet, I'm able to put my electronic logging device on the tablet. I use GPS through the tablet. You can't just use Google Maps or Apple Maps. You have to use like a special truck GPS. Otherwise, you're going to go, under low bridges or on narrow roads or back streets. So you need a special truck GPS. I use Trucker Path. It's $10 a month. It's an app straight through the Apple App Store. I think it's probably on Android too, but it's pretty popular among other owner-operators, Trucker Path. Or you can get a Garmin, for $300 you can get, one of those little Garmins that are like specialized for trucks. Doesn't matter. Okay, so just some random things like a flashlight, small hand tools. Just like I spent like $100 on like a diesel mechanic, auto mechanic tool set. Just like very basic, like your driver's not gonna be doing any major repairs over the road, but like just so he can open up the hood and just check out some things on the engine if he needs to. Just a basic mechanics tool set, a flashlight, a wooden mallet, wire cutters, and a hammer, just like very basic things, and magnets. So you need the name of your company, your DOT number, and your MC number on each side of your truck. So I see a lot of guys get really fancy decals and spend like hundreds of dollars on their logo and fancy decals for the truck. I didn't do any of that. I kept it super simple. I got a white magnet with black letters, my company name, my DOT number, and my MC number. And I just have that on each door. So that's what I did. It cost me like $60 for both magnets. That's all you need. Oh, I do want to talk about the truck real quick. Do you know a lot about tractors? So like, get an APU, get a truck with an inverter, like get a 73-inch sleeper cab with a raised roof, like that all makes sense. Do you plan on staying at your day job with Penske and just trying to do this on the side, or what do you plan on doing? Do you think so? If I can go back in time, I don't know. I'm always conflicted. I can't decide if I can go back in time if I would have started dispatching my truck myself or if I still would have hired a dispatcher. Just think about it long and hard, because like right now I'm paying my dispatcher $400 a week, and he has like the dispatcher, like that's such an important role in the business. Like he has a lot of control over how much money you're gonna make. So I don't know. It's something to think about. Try to think about it if you want to spend 2 to 3 hours a day dispatching, because it is really nice. Like I could literally like go away from vacation for a week to China and not check my phone, and like my business will continue operating, which is really, really nice. That's kind of the whole goal. But if you're the dispatcher, like you can't go away. You have to manage your truck and your driver. Well, dispatching, so first of all, you have to book the load, which usually happens for me between like 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. My loads usually get booked at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. But you also have to check in with the broker when your driver gets there, and you have to check in with the broker when your driver leaves, and you have to check in with the broker if you need a lumper fee, or if you're going to be late, or if you need detention pay. So like you're kind of checking in with the broker all day. Like it's not just like I'm going to do it for 2 hours this morning, be done with it, check back in tomorrow morning. It is kind of like an all day thing. So like the really nice thing for me is like even if my driver breaks down and gets a flat tire, he calls my dispatcher first. He does not call me. So like I'm also in meetings all day, and like I'm busy, and it's like I don't answer the phone if I'm unavailable. So it's just nice to have that dispatcher to, like, my dispatcher will like call roadside assistance or call the mechanic and get the tire fixed. Like he handles all of that for me. We don't have like a specific company for roadside assistance. We'll just call like the local truck stop or try to find someone who's in the area. That is kind of something though that I'm considering. Like, I don't really know a whole lot about roadside assistance, but I know, like, I've gotten lucky the past couple times. I've broken down pretty close to a truck stop, but I know if I were, 20 or 30 miles away, I would have paid a premium for that. Yeah, that is nice, not having to pay maintenance on a rental. That is nice. But, I mean, what is it? If you're going 2,500 times 15... oh, sorry, excuse me. It's only $400 a week for maintenance, because you're probably going to pay more for a tractor trailer rental. Definitely will, right? So there's your maintenance expense right there. So the best thing, exactly, the best thing to do is crunch the numbers. Like, I don't know if you've seen any of my videos on my cost per mile calculator, but I'm sure you're good with Excel. Like, just very simply, just come up with like a spreadsheet. Have your revenue up top, and then have all of the expenses that could possibly happen, paying your driver, repairs and maintenance, tolls, insurance, factoring company, dispatcher, like just factor in all of those things. And then just figure out, okay, if I'm making $10,000 a week, driving 3,000 miles a week, I can only afford X amount of truck. Are you talking about net income or top line revenue? No, I don't see how that would be possible. The other thing with doing like local runs is you need a trailer. No, I don't have a trailer. So I do trailer interchange. So I'll run a power only load with a broker, and then I'll use their trailer for a week, and then I'll return it. I'll run loads with other people, and then I'll run a power only load with somebody else, and then get another trailer and run that trailer. So I'll do like 1 power only load a week, and then 4 dry van loads a week. But like if you're gonna run local stuff, you almost need like 1 or 2 trailers, because that way you can do drop and hook stuff. Like you can have a warehouse here and a warehouse there, leave a trailer there, and just do shuttle runs back and forth.